So today's thoughts are about what we judge to be good and bad in life. And I would advocate that you stop being so quick to judge that. And I'm not, first and foremost, let me say I'm not saying that there's no right and wrong, because I think that's different. The good and bad that I'm talking about is whether or not you perceive the events in your life to be good or bad. And by that I mean, like as an example, recently I've been going through some things, which I won't get into now, but sometimes friends will ask, like, how am I doing, what's going on? I'll give them kind of the rundown, and most of the time I'd say the response is something to the effect of, that sucks, dude, I'm sorry to hear that, hope things turn out okay. And I'm just kind of sitting there thinking, you know, it ultimately doesn't suck. It's taught me a lot about life. It's taught me a lot about myself, others, perspectives, and just how I handle things. So, kind of like handling this fly that keeps landing on my head. Anyway, I probably wouldn't even be making these videos or growing so much if these things hadn't happened. So the reality of it is my situation is not bad. It's actually one of the better things that's happened to me in my life, and it's just a matter of how you handle it. And I think people can be at all different stages of their perception of things. Some people will look back at their past and think, like, kind of see it with disgust or see it as an injustice of things that should or shouldn't have happened to them and did or didn't in their opinion of what should be and what shouldn't. And they can never see the better perspective of what they learned from it. Other people, I think it's like the hindsight is 20/20 effect. They look back and see what they learned, but it could take them years to figure that out, and then they're thankful for their experiences, but it took them years to get there. But I think where we ultimately all need to get is where we start to realize that about all situations and events and things in our lives and relationships and whatever, is that we're all on a journey. Those things are all happening for a reason, and we're here to learn from that and grow. And if you can do that in the moment rather than having to look back and figure out what you learned, or maybe never figure out what you learned because you don't learn, it's just better to get to a point where you can do it now. And I guess maybe a more concrete example is I went to school for mechanical engineering. I did that for the first job, and then my second job it kind of became a mix of mechanical engineering and programming, and slowly over time now I'm a full-time programmer. And I really like it, which is odd for a mechanical engineer. But if I had not had the jobs that I started out with, I wouldn't realize what I wanted to do in the end, I don't think. And I wouldn't be where I am today. So ultimately, I had to go through some of those things to be where I am today, and if I didn't, I wouldn't be where I am today. And that goes for all sorts of things in your life. So the point of the matter is, don't be so quick to judge whether something's good or bad. It's there for a reason, and if you can just accept it, you'll go through life a lot less stressed, and I think much more positive, because there's a purpose to everything. It's not just unfortunate or however you decide to look at it. So perhaps another good way to look at this idea is in raising a kid. Not that I can speak from experience really, but from watching others. You think about, from a kid's perspective, their parent gives them a gift and they think it's wonderful and the best thing ever, even if it's just a cardboard box to play in. And so obviously we can all look at that and say, well, yeah, you can definitely see that that's a good thing. On the other hand, what about when the kid does something wrong and the parents have to discipline them? Well, from the kid's perspective, the discipline sucks. And they're not going to realize until later in their life how much they needed that for themselves. And we can all look at it from the outside and go, the discipline is a good thing. And while the kid thinks that it's terrible. And it's the same thing in our lives, that there's certain things in your life that you're going to be judging to be good or bad, and it's not necessarily the case. For example, if you won the lottery and got to buy dang near everything that you wanted, and you kind of become a spoiled adult, you might develop a sense of entitlement and things like that, when you would have been better off just scraping by and learning to appreciate the finer things in life. Likewise, something bad happens to you, like say you get in a car accident and it takes you months to heal. Perhaps you are a very impatient person, and that whole situation taught you patience that you otherwise would not have learned. So it's just a couple things to think about from those perspectives of what you can be so quick to judge as good or bad.